I guess similar to your friend's story, Alan, it's kind of like if I was upset and I was crying or something, then my parents would be like, Christy, like, why are you crying? Just stop crying. Just like, here's a solution, and then just like work towards the solution. That's all you need to do, right?
The typical Asian parents.
Yeah, so then it's kind of like, yeah, that makes sense logically, but these are our emotions we're talking about, and they're so complex. And like when you invalidate your emotions like
Hello everyone, my name is Alan Shi and my pronoun is he, him, his. Welcome to our Health Plus podcast, produced by Health and Counseling Services at Simon Fraser University. Today, we're going to talk about mental health on campus with our student-led volunteer group, HiFive. We're glad to have two special guests joining us, the HiFive coordinator Nazafarin and our beloved student Christy. Would you like to introduce yourselves? Naz, do you want to go first?
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Nazafarin and my pronouns are she, her. I'm a third-year health sciences student, which I really enjoy, and I'm an international student from Iran. And I'm here today as the HiFive coordinator. Over to you, Christy.
Hi, I'm Christy. I am a communications major, and I'm minoring in publishing, and I did co-op at SFU Health and Counseling around like 2 years ago. That's a long time ago. But yeah, so I'm here to join the podcast.
Well, thank you two for joining us. So, because personally I have joined several HiFive events, but I think for many of our audience, they are not familiar with this HiFive. So would you want to go into that a bit, Nas?
Yes, sure. So HiFive is basically a group of students, and it's been student-led because I'm the current coordinator, and as I just mentioned, I'm a student, and also the previous coordinators were all students. And HiFive works directly with SFU Health and Counseling Services, so that's another reason that I'm here today. To put the purpose and like the goal behind HiFive in like one sentence, is that HiFive works on the destigmatization of mental health and encouraging access to mental health support on campus at SFU and beyond. And also talking about how does HiFive basically move towards these like goals and purposes that I just mentioned, is basically HiFive tries to spread awareness through hosting several events and outreaches per semester, and having open conversations with our attendees, which are mainly students, and also through creating social media contents in like different formats.
Mm-hmm. So my personal experience is that, I have one friend. She was diagnosed with depression, a very serious one, during the COVID-19. So she's an international student. She had to stay at home by herself for a year and a half, and that was really stressful. But she's afraid to tell her parents. So I asked her why. Like she said, like in her childhood, her dad told her like only weak people have mental health issues. And you guys don't know how touching that sentence is if you look at her eyes and she told you that. She's afraid to tell her family, and even only a few close friends know about that. And she's still suffering from it, and she's still unable to tell that to her parents. So what about you, Christy? What's your experience with the mental health stigma?
For me, I really had to learn about like validating emotions, like especially my own, because growing up, like I guess similar to your friend's story, Alan, it's kind of like if I was upset and I was crying or something, then my parents would be like, Christy, like why are you crying? Just stop crying. Just like here's a solution, and then just like work towards the solution. That's all you need to do, right?
The typical Asian parents.
Yeah. So then it's kind of like, yeah, that makes sense logically, but these are our emotions we're talking about, and they're so complex. And like when you invalidate your emotions like that, you don't actually work through the hurt and the pain, you just kind of suppress it. And when you do that, you can't really dig deep into yourself and understand any like deeper issues that you might be struggling with. So just recently, like I really had to work at validating my own emotions, because I also realize this now, that when I would invalidate my own emotions, especially like negative emotions like pain, hurt, and stuff like that when my friends would come to me about like their own issues, that I would unintentionally invalidate their emotions because there was no other method that I knew like how to respond to them, or like in that sense.
What about your friends? Like your Canadian-born Asian friend circles?
A lot of my Canadian-born friends like share the same cultural background as me, so they do have so then like their parents are not like from Canada, so then there is still that kind of like, you know, like the Asian culture, that
Asian culture.
Yeah, or like the Chinese culture that we talked about like if you're upset, like why are you upset? Just here's a solution. I have the solution for you, kind of thing.
Like you have everything. Why are you upset in the first place?
Sometimes it's that too.
Naz, you're from Iran, so do you have any personal experience related to that?
I think like the experience that I had on top of my head was like exactly what I just mentioned. Is that like if you like express your emotions, that for example you're upset about something, it's like a very common response is just that like you have everything like that that a human being needs. So why are you even upset in the first place? Like it's not. I mean, Christy was talking about how like your parents try to like give solutions and be like, this is how we can solve the problem. But I feel like for me it's like a lot about like why are you even upset in the first place?
Sounds even worse.
I don't know.
So, and you're from health science background, right? And now you're working as a HiFive coordinator. In this role, how would you explain mental health stigma to students? Like imagine we're at the HiFive event and a student approached you with those examples, stories.
I think I actually want to like give sort of an example to answer to this question. So for example, like imagine how many times have we heard people like talking around us, like having a conversation about an individual who is living with or who is like experiencing some sort of mental health issue. I feel like the common theme and like the common form of sentence that we might hear a lot is that they are dangerous, they are unpredictable, they can be violent, or things like they're just a burden because they cannot contribute to the society, or they deserve to be blamed for their condition because it's something that, I don't know, it's like they wanted to have the mental health issue, like something like that. So I think this is what mental health stigma really sounds like. It's when the society sort of disapproves and places shame on people who experience mental health issues or who seek any sort of support for that. And what will happen is that it basically starts preventing individuals from seeking or receiving support at the moment that they really need, or it basically stops them from fully enjoying success in their lives. And saying that it's not because they are incapable of being successful. We have so many examples of people who are brilliant, who are very, very successful, and who even like talk openly about their issues with mental health or even their diagnosis with mental illnesses. It's just because of the stigma and stereotype around mental health that can prevent people from enjoying their life and their accomplishments fully.
Well, that's a long answer. I need to process a bit. Yeah, so hearing that, I wonder, Christy, like, you're one of the most energetic and talkative person I've ever seen. So have you ever reached out for any mental health support?
Yeah, definitely. I think ever since I did my co-op, like here, like I've learned that there's a lot to mental well-being and like all the resources that like you can like use here, and
you know, I saw you want to say working here as a co-op is stressful. That's why you're
no. My co-op here was like really like good, and I was not stressed by this co-op stuff. I was not stressed. But like there's some extracurricular stuff that I do that I used to get really stressed about, and I have used like the MySSP app to kind of chat with a counselor to like get resources from them on like how to handle like my stress for my extracurricular activities, and I've also used MySSP before to ask for like advice regarding how to support my friend who came to me about an issue, because I wasn't sure what to do, because obviously I'm not trained in like on like this stuff. Yeah.
So let's return to HiFive. So for those issues we have talked about, like also you have mentioned all the kind of social perception issues, how's HiFive responding to that?
I think the main thing that HiFive tries to do is that HiFive sort of tries to open the space and basically give the space to students to actually talk about it. So like when we say hosting like open conversation, I think that's what we all mean, because as we mentioned in the very beginning, HiFive is a student group. So I've seen a lot that during our events, when other students they reach out and they start talking about like different things, when HiFive volunteers or even myself, when we start like sort of relating to them and like sharing our experiences too, I think it really, I mean, I'm hoping that it helps them with sort of finding that safe space to actually talk about what they want to, or like what they are going through, and actually, as Christy was saying earlier, to sort of like validate their emotions. And it's really important for students to know that their peers also go through the same things. So, for example, in like one of our last events, the theme was exam stress. And something that I think I personally was really trying to deliver the message that being stressed before an exam is a normal feeling. It doesn't mean that you're not a good student. It doesn't mean that you cannot be a successful student if you're stressed before an exam. Yes, preparing for an exam can be helpful, but it doesn't mean that if you're stressed, you didn't prepare enough. So it's just not like that. So I think like giving that safe space to students is the main thing that I'm hoping for HiFive to do.
That's exactly a story I heard from my high school teacher. I come from China, so we used to like say, oh, if you feel nervous before a task, which means you didn't study enough. Yeah, seriously. What? Are you truly shocked? No. Interesting. Cool. As we said, HiFive is a student-led group. Mm-hmm. I believe many of our audience are also looking for volunteer opportunities, or who's really passionate about the mental health issues and try to destigmatize mental health. So, how can students get involved into HiFive?
So talking about volunteering for HiFive, as I mentioned before, HiFive consists of an amazing group of student volunteers from different faculties who are the one thing that they all share in common is just being passionate about mental health and reducing stigma. So I would say if this sounds like you, anyone who is listening to this, you can join us as a HiFive volunteer, and how you can apply for it is that if you open our Instagram page, which is HiFive Movement, and there is a link tree on our bio, and when you open that link tree, the first tab that you see is HiFive volunteer application. It's a very short application form that you fill out, and that's pretty much it. There is like no selection process, there are no interviews. As I said, as long as you are passionate about mental health, you are always welcome to HiFive. But other than that, the other ways that you can get involved with HiFive is to following us on social media. As I said, HiFive Movement for both Instagram and Facebook, and attending our events and outreaches. We will be so happy to see you all. And there is a HiFive Canvas course which has a lot of information about mental health and mental illnesses. And taking that Canvas course can be also a great way to get involved. And please keep learning and talking about mental health and well-being with people around you, because I think that's really important, as we were just saying about having that safe space and having that open conversation, how important it is. When you keep talking to people around you about that, I feel like that is a very helpful way in reducing stigma around mental health.
Wow, thank you. For anyone who's interested in that, this is Nazafarin's phone number. Remember to call.
Whoa! What?
Yeah. We will include the link. So.
And also, maybe I should say the email address. So
if you want to expose that.
Yeah, it's HiFive email address.
Oh, okay, I see.
Whoa. So the email address is hifive@sfu.ca. It's pretty simple. So if you had any questions, if you wanted to chat a bit more about HiFive and volunteering with HiFive or anything else, I check that email address. So
any questions, feel free to bother Naz. Well, thank you, Naz and Christy.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for having us.